First of all, I want to thank everybody who's here. We are very grateful for this opportunity to talk to all of you, to have this Q&A section, to introduce our party, to introduce ourselves as individuals. So thank you very much. We are very, very appreciative. So the Urbane was formed in 2017. Okay, good. So my full name is Nana Santua Asafweje. I am Ghanaian. Both of my parents are Ghanaian. I was born here in Germany. I lived here in Germany, in Ghana, and in the UK. I went to school in Ghana in St. Rose's Secondary School, and then changed to UK and went to University of Westminster University, studied psychology and criminology. I have always been very much on the activistic perspective. I started my first demonstrations, or went to my first demonstrations, probably around 8, 9 years old, and have done ever since. I have done many projects here in Hamburg, specifically for Black people, for discriminated people. I did a refugee project in Hamburg for for mainly undocumented refugees, where they were able to get free meals, clothing, German lessons, healthcare, everything that they needed for several years, 24/7, so every day of the week, and also a pattern, a Nanaya Santua Award show for African women who do substantial good work in the community. I have done several projects like that. My last project was Hamburg Dekolonisieren, which is a project that was brought to life by our government, and was funded by Behörde für Kultur und Medien, with 1 million euros in order to do several projects. I was the project assistant to do that. And I have done that for the last 2 years. And everything I do, if it's my private work, my activistic, or my political work, it is always in order to uplift us, our communities, BIPOC people in general, and especially people who are discriminated against. It has been my passion, and I have raised my children to do so as well. And therefore, my youngest, Shiva Selassie, is here as well. She's also part of the Partei here in Hamburg. And I'll give her the mic so that she can introduce herself too.
Hello, my name is Shiva Selassie Afia, and I'm Nana's daughter. Both of my parents are also from Ghana. I was born in London, but raised primarily here in Germany. I went to school here in Germany. I did my Abitur in combination with an international bachelorette, which is a program that is done in English. Like 100% of our lessons were in English. It's a more international program that has recognition all over the world, and it is comprised of a more inclusive curriculum because we as students get to choose a lot of our curriculum, but it also meant that we had double the workload of the normal Abitur. Then I went to study European Public Health in the Netherlands. It's a program that is aiming to combine a lot of different things. It's psychology, it's medicine, it's sociology, a lot of different things to make sure that big populations and small population groups within countries can get the help that they need to make sure that everybody stays healthy. Like, it's a very complicated subject, but a very big one. And one of the biggest topics is also um, communicable diseases such as COVID. So it's a very timely and important field of study that has gotten a lot of attention during the pandemic, but definitely needs to be explored more and like reach into our communities as well. Yeah, and my political activism definitely comes from my mother. There's no doubt about that. First demonstrations, all same as her, 10, 9 years old. And then when she started her refugee project, I was there every day after school, every day during my holidays. for years. So that was definitely something that paved the way for my activistic inspirations and why I decided to study public health in the first place. Because helping people can not only be in a small scale in your community, it needs structure, it needs political advancements. And that's why I wanted to study something that would give me the tools to help people and discover structural disadvantages that were built against us and how to identify them and how to dismantle them.
Okay, then I would pass the mic on to Wasim. Wasim, if you're present, you can take over and introduce yourself as well.
Okay, thank you. Hope you can hear me. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for passing the mic. So my name is Wasim. I'm based and born and raised in Munich. My father's from Egypt. My mother's German. So yeah, I consider myself like an Afro-European activist, Pan-Africanist. And yeah, here in Munich, I'm mostly into the hip hop scene, but also connecting it with activism and political activism. Yeah, since I would also consider myself maybe 10 years into activism. I host hip hop events. I'm a rapper, MC myself. I'm a DJ, so I always try to combine my art with the activism into artivism. And maybe a little bit like Nana, my way into the political party Die Urbane was through my refugee support and of course my own discriminations, but mostly with the missing structures for supporting people that are discriminated in Germany. Those are not allowed to vote. Those are not allowed to work. Maybe they don't get the same treatments as we all want. So I was in this different projects to raise awareness, to fight for working permissions for refugees, and other topics, and that led me to the conclusion that in the end we also have to fight for our rights on a political level, on the streets as activists in our neighborhoods, in our communities, and also on a political level. So yeah, I joined Die Urbane and built up Die Urbane in Bavaria. So this is where I'm focusing on, and yeah, trying to establish through the art, through hip hop. I try to establish connections throughout Munich, Germany, but also the African continent. I try to travel a lot. I try to invite a lot of artists from the continent. I try to work with them as much as possible to give them visibility and raise their voices. So this is what I do also with the art. Yeah, and I think it makes a lot of sense to pressure the government to also try to make the society more aware, but also to start within our own communities, the Black community, but also the Afro and the rap and hip hop community. Like there's so many different communities, Muslim community, where I'm also engaged. So I always try to focus on strengthening our own voices, our own structures, so we can apply a higher pressure on the society and also on the government. So this is what I'm trying to build together with Nana and others in Shiva and many more people. Dallas, I see more people here. So yeah, this is what I'm here for.
Okay, I'll start first of all. Especially last time we had Bundestagswahl, everybody decided to do strategical voting because they believe that that is the way to fight racism and to fight extremists like AfD. What we have seen that has happened since then is that instead of the major parties, the big parties that we voted for fighting against the right-wing approaches, they have rather adopted these right-wing approaches in their own policies. And this is one of the reasons why I would defend that voting for smaller parties, voting for parties who definitely have the interests of BIPOC, Black, brown people is the only way to go forward. Another reason is that every party started out small. every one of these parties. AfD was a few years ago, 5-6 years ago, a very, very small party that was not really looked at as or recognized as any danger. And now they are the second largest in the sense of the amount of people that are voting for them. Therefore, any small party can make it if it has the backing of the community, of the people who know that this party will defend their rights. Another reason is that every other party that is, and I'm talking about every other party except ours, is based on white supremacy. The structure and the fundament of these parties is always to uplift and uphold the power of the white person, the privilege of the white person. Therefore, racism, discrimination, capitalism, etc. In order to change the community, in order to make life for us who also contribute immensely to this country, economically and culturally in every aspect, it is necessary to check not only the faces of the people that we're voting for, because they have Black and brown people standing for them, but the actual program, the virtues, the code of conduct of the parties that we're voting for. And we have purposely constructed our program to always involve the perspectives, the issues that face Black and brown people in this country and beyond this country. We need to be, I mean, my activism was probably fueled a lot in the UK, where I saw that Black and brown people had a lot more to say. The culture was accepted a lot more. And I'm not saying there's no racism in the UK, definitely not. But anybody who has lived there for a while realizes that you feel freer as a person of color in the UK simply because of these approaches. And if that is possible in the UK, it can also be possible here. The nice and comfortable and how this polite approaches of black and brown people to be involved, to be included, to be respected, have been done. My father did it when he came. Generations before that did it. And my presumption, or our presumption right now, is that that does not work. It does not bring us to the solution, to the it doesn't bring the results that we need. Therefore, a radical approach is needed. We are in the opposition as a small party, and therefore we need to create awareness, and that is best done in a radical way. That is best done with many people behind us to show that this is what is needed. Especially important is it that people become members of our party. If you become members, you have the chance to change our program or be part of the evolution of the program, what we want to do, and precisely people who are not allowed to vote to be part of this party, because this is one of our main issues, to make sure that everybody that works here, that contributes, that lives here, that pays taxes and raises their children here should be allowed to vote. And we can only make that happen if these people are part of our party. That was a very long answer. I can pass on the mic to Wasim or Shiva if you also want to pitch in and answer this. Shiva?
I think Wasim can go first.
Okay. Wasim?
Okay, thank you. So maybe I have to get one step before the voting. We are actually right now collecting signatures to be able to run for the election. Maybe that's the first step, because we are, as a small party, we cannot automatically participate in the elections, but we have to collect support signatures. So maybe that's the first step, how you could support the Urbane. You don't even vote for us then, you just make us visible on the ballots, on the for the voting. So maybe that's the first step that we are right now fighting for. But then, of course, when we make it to the polls, if you're able to be voted for, I think a very, very important move that the Urbane is showing is that it's possible to organize and to make very radical claims visible and votable. And for me, that's also like the hip hop claim, voice to the silenced. that's a very important move for all of us that are being discriminated, to see people gathering and structuring themselves to make the needs and the demands of the people who are silenced visible and loud and radically visible in the political level. I think that's a very important part of what the Urbane is trying to achieve, because this will build up pressure and, of course, visibility. First of all, empowerment. People will try to understand, hopefully, try to understand all those vocabs that we're using, the idea of racism, the idea of white supremacy, the idea of equal justice, equality and justice, all those ideas that we are founded upon are not really understood in the broad German society. So I think that's a very important fight that we have to fight, to really hold up the flag of radical anti-racism and decolonial content, so people can learn about this. Our people can be inspired and motivated to pressure together with us for a change. And also the privileged people can learn that we are here and that we have a voice and that we have very clear perspectives and demands, and that we are doing everything to achieve this for equality and human rights for everyone. So I think actually there's no way around it for me, because we all are in the same position to have a privilege in Europe, in Germany, to be able to vote for some change, even if it's not the majority or we cannot change it with one election, but we have the chance. Some perspectives of the global South that are not visible without the Urbane. I think that's a very important part of this party.
Okay, I'm AI. I'm 29 years old and I'm joining from NRW, Germany. I have so many questions, but if it has to come down to one, because I think the social justice questions will be asked. Okay, all right. Okay, the first thing would be regarding the signatures, because as far as I know, you have to gain like 0.1% of the signatures of the eligible voters in Germany to be able to run, right? So I'd like to know how many signatures have you gained? What is your strategy on gaining enough signatures to run for this upcoming election?
Okay, I first of all, thank you for your question, AI. We are also in NRW, so that one, because obviously NRW is very important. Generally, the signatures that we need are only there in order for us to be on the ballot. So in every Bundesland, we need 2,000 signatures, and in some like Hamburg, it's 1,300 signatures, only so that we can be on the ballot. But that's only part of what we need to do in order to be on the ballot. In the last two Bundestagswahlen, we were able to do this simply because the preparation time was enough. This time with Neuwahlen, it is such a short, extreme time that small parties like us have extreme difficulties to get all the requirements that are needed done. Many small parties have already given up and are not even part of this Bundestagswahl, simply because the time frame of 8 weeks to get done everything that you need to get done in 8 months to get it done in 8 weeks is impossible, because we don't have the financial backing. We don't have people who do this full time. We do not have the immense numbers of members that other parties have. So that already infringes our chances. The second one is, yes, we need 5% in order to be in Bundestag, to be part of the ruling government. I think our aim to be part of it is there. However, knowing that we still need to attract or get many more members in Germany, our main issue is to get more members to be valid, to be seen in all Bundesländern, and then to start with projects within our communities that uplift and educate before we even start thinking of ruling. Because we also have to learn, we are all not politicians, we're all part of the community. And to rush into governing can only bring problems. Therefore, our approach is to grow and to do these projects in order to uplift more, to strengthen us, and then maybe the next Bundestagswahl, there will be a bigger chance to actually be part of it because we have a better foundation. Like I said, we are young. We've been there since 2017, and there's always a need to, especially within Germany, to have this fundament, to have this knowledge. And we can only have this knowledge with more members, with more activities, and with more projects. I hope that has helped in a way.
Yes, thank you very much.
From North Rhine-Westphalia. Yeah. I'm not going to be able to ask any questions because I'm actually a member of Urbane. Now there goes the truth. And I'm so excited that they took up the invitation to come up and, on a grassroots level to talk to you about Urbane. So, like I said, and I also heard, and I can only reiterate what they have said, people start small, and small parties and anything that starts small must make a timeline, must experience its turmoils, belongs to its history that we need to write. So basically, I am not going to be able to ask any questions. Maybe just if somebody wants to ask me why did I choose Urbane, that is where I will be able to be of more help. I don't have any party seats or anything. For me, like when I gave you the suggestion that you contact the party people, and that they should come to the platform and talk to you about why you should vote. I already told you that my interest is not only I call it global. That means I'm not only again here in Germany, but also seeing very, very critically what is happening in the global south. Because for me, the two are tied. There is no way that you're going to say we can be able to continue to do politics without correcting what is being done wrongly in our continent. And I went through the different types of political parties, partly crossed the floors. And I don't know how I landed in Urbane. And when I went there, it talked about everything that I needed to hear about anti-racism. That was very important for me because I've been in this country and I've seen the downside of what people go through when they experience racism and they do not have voices on the table. So that was important for me, that this is one chance that if we all are ever going to be able to gain some political powers where we are changing discourses and where policies are being made with us on the table, then we need to come up with a political strategy, and that Urbane is the one that spoke to me. And I think I met them at the time that we were talking about the reparations that are supposed to be done to the Nama and the Herero, in which the Urbane were actively involved together with another group of women's group in Berlin, I think. And I've also been actively involved in the Herero and the Nama genocides that were, that have never been compensated or have never been acknowledged. So that was something very that really, moved me to say this is a place where justice is taking place, and I needed to see justice not only for our people living here but also in the continent. I think now I've spoken too much.
Okay, I'm Jolly from Niederbayern. My name is Wilson. Thank you, the presenters here coming to address some certain issue bordering African community. I appreciate. My question goes this way. In what way will your party address or ensure easy access to affordable health care services, addressing disparities between the locals and the Black communities. Hence, our people receive healthcare, but it's not in quantum, and a lot of them experience racism, discrimination. Even our professional careers like doctors, carers, nurses, they pass through a lot in the healthcare system. I'm one of them. I was working in a hospital here once at a certain time. It was like a mafia zone. So how will your party, if actually your party wins, how will they ensure that then we have people we have easy accessible to afford healthcare services, address them? Because on your website, your portfolio is social justice, urban self-development, and urbanization, transport. So how will we be able to have that access to afford healthcare services, addressing the issue of disparity between the locals and the Black community? B, if eventually we finish, by God's grace, this party wins, how can you people give us assurance that you will be coming to, to hear, listen to us, hear our needs, and be able to help us to address some certain issues in view? Thank you.
Yeah, it's actually Shiva now. I'm not sure if you can tell our voices apart. That's why I thought I should announce it. Yes, it's a very, very important question, Win. So thank you for raising the topic. I'm not sure if you were here when I introduced myself. I studied European public health, so the health system is something that is very close to my heart, and changing that system is incredibly important. There's two main aspects. Is one, as a patient, how can I get healthcare? And number two, as a person who is employed in the health system, how can I get my rights? You're very, very correct on the racism for healthcare workers. The healthcare mafia is alive and well. And as a party, one of the biggest issues that we want to tackle is racism in employment. There is a anti-discrimination law in place in Germany worldwide, and then there's a more specific anti-discrimination law for Berlin as a state. But we need to expand these laws. They need to protect specifically Black people, because as they are standing right now, these laws are very weak. They are not enforced, they are ignored. And that's why we are being treated the way we are being treated in these jobs. Healthcare in itself in the West is a very racist practice. A lot of things were built on racism. They are meant to harm Black people. They are harmful stereotypes that they enforce legally, and that needs to be changed with laws. It's not just about changing laws, though, it's also about changing people. And that's why healthcare workers, especially the ones who've been doing this for 30 years and never see a problem with calling people N-words, they need training. It needs to be part in medical school, in any Ausbildung that they do to become nurses. They need to be trained on how to treat different cultures, on how to treat different diseases in different skin colors. My mother has sickle cell and I have it as well. There's also a couple of other hereditary diseases that Germany does not recognize, does not find important enough to acknowledge, because they only concern Black and brown people. And that is a systematic disadvantage, that is a systematic discrimination in the health system that we will not stand for. And that is why Urbane wants to raise awareness about these diseases. We need more research. We need to acknowledge the research that is already there from different countries like the United Kingdom and the United States and France. They have big and powerful Black communities that have demanded these changes, and we must do the same. Yes, and when it comes to from the patient perspective, we know that in migrant neighborhoods like the one that we live in Hamburg and many, many others across Germany, there have been systematic and discriminatory regulations on how many doctors we have. If you know the health system and the different types of doctors we have, the specialists, the GPs, the waiting times are incredibly long for some of these services that are essential, and that is unacceptable. It is by design the two-party system, the two-type system of gesetzliche Krankenversicherung and private Krankenversicherung. It's basically those who can afford to pay for everything out of pocket and those who need state assistance to pay for their healthcare. And those who need state assistance to pay for their healthcare are treated as second-class citizens. That is by design, and that needs to be changed. Because without that fundamental change of how the insurance companies treat the doctors that treat us, we will never be heard. We will never get health. We will never be able to thrive and live in this country without doctors that respect us, without health insurances that respect us. I hope that answers your question a little bit about my passion and the party's dedication.
It's absolutely awesome.
Thank you very much. Hello, good morning, everybody. Good morning to the whole team from the Urbane. Nice to be here. Good morning for the listeners. I am calling from NRW, from Cologne. I was born in Cameroon. I'm a German citizen since 15 years, and I have 2 children living in Cologne. So I feel myself as Afro-European German living in Germany. So I'm very happy to be here. Yesterday I discovered the Urbane Partei and Nana and everybody are here. We decided to come today, and I'm very happy to be here. So my first question go to Nana and the whole team. To my experience, after living in this earth more than 50 years, I have the feeling that we Afro Black people or whatever the minorities, sometimes we never have the opportunity to speak, to show our voices. And the feeling that I've got is that we are still fighting just to tell people, hey, we are here, we have voices. So my question is, what is your experience since to 2017, you guys there, Nana and Tim, what is your experience? Do you have the same difficulty that we have as human being citizens living in Germany? So that when you are talking about racism, discrimination in the politics, what are the reactions of institutions that you are facing with? And also, if this topic from racism to you is powerful enough to convince all Afro-Caribbean, all Black people living in Germany to join the Urbane Partei. I hope my question is clear. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you for your question. I don't think I will be the only one answering. I see Edwin and Wasim here too, but I think I will make a start unless you two jump in and say you want to talk first. I'm not seeing a reaction, so I guess not. Racism is racism enough to combine all of us. That's the first thing I would want to address. Our party is not just about racism. Yes, racism is a strong topic that combines most of the others. We are also decolonials. We want anti-colonial politics, which combines the whole global South, everybody from the global South, because colonialism is something that has affected the global South. We are also anti-capitalist because capitalism is a discriminatory approach system to keep especially people from the global South in their place beneath the white supremacists. So I wouldn't say racism is the only issue. It is just the one thing that all the other parties do not do. They do not address racism the way we do, simply because they themselves practice it. You will find an SPD candidate talking about the racism in a certain branch for a certain amount of people, but then practice racism towards another community altogether. And that is the issue with the other parties, which we don't do. For example, the situation that has been going on for 1.5 years, the genocide in Palestine. I, as a Black person, as an African, I am not affected by what is happening in Gaza. However, knowing that these practices have already been done to us in Africa, we know exactly how devastating that is, and therefore we are able to also approach that fight for and with those people discriminated against in Palestine, Palestinians, Lebanese, etc., because we know, we understand. And that's a way of combining all of our struggles. When it comes to talking to Behörden and everything else, and how we have felt in the last few years, or how we have been dealt with in the last few years when we approach this topic, then I would say mixed feelings. Yes, of course, being in opposition would always mean we have to be strong in our approaches and stick to our guns, stick to our policies. And that is obviously very complicated, because white fragility will always be part of it. So a white person saying, I myself haven't done anything, so therefore I don't receive that we are being racist, is something that has to be educated upon, because we have already spoken about, for example, the medical system and how that is racist in itself. Many people do not see that that is the case. They don't see the levels in which that affects and discriminates. So we are very much in the position of educating very often, educating in different levels on exactly what the problem is and which approaches need to be taken in order to avoid this. I've spoken before that I was working in Hamburg on the project Hamburg Dekolonisieren, which is a project funded by Behörde von Kultur und Medien. And we were 2 Black people working on this. I was project assistant and there was a project lead. And 90% of our work was communicating with the Geldgeber, the people who gave us the funding, on how racist certain structures are, certain approaches are. So it is necessary to always educate, and it is necessary to stick to it and not to give in. And that is what I feel lots of other approaches don't do. We stick to it. We stay on it, grounded, radical. I can't find the right words, but we will not give in, because we know and we have seen and we are part of the oppression. Should I pass it on to somebody else? Are you happy with the answer? Do you need another?
I'm
Is
very
anybody
happy
else?
with the answer. Thank you very
Okay.
much, Nana.
Good morning to everyone. I'm actually called Carl. I'm actually calling from Dubai location, like an hour from Leipzig. So my question actually was, how does the Urbane plans to translate its anti-racist policies into concrete policies that affect and address systematic racism affecting Black communities in Germany?
Okay. Wasim, would you like to start this one?
Yes, okay. I'm always listening to Nana. First, I'm very keen on hearing Shiva's and Nana's perspectives first. So, but yeah, I can go first. I think, especially from Bavarian Munich perspective, there's a very diverse Black community. Actually, we haven't even really found the claim Black community here. It's very new. Like, we're actually kind of building it. I mean, there are many Black communities that have been here for a long time. So I'm just talking from my experience, but they are not really connected. They're not, or not as much on a political level connected as we're aiming for. So there's a lot of work, I think, that has to be done within the spectrum of Black community first, to find ourselves, to support ourselves, and also to exchange perspectives. That's why I started with the claim. I love to listen to Nana and Shiva, because they also represent slightly different perspectives maybe than me as a black woman, as a black woman living in Hamburg. Maybe there's differences. So that I think that's the first thing that comes to my mind, that the Urbane is it should be a hub for black people to join, to show their perspectives, because there are so many black perspectives. I think it was Windsor before, she asked from Niederbayern how we're gonna keep in touch with like the communities, and I think it would be the core of the party to have as many different perspectives as possible, especially from the Afro community, black community, inside the Urbane, to answer a lot of questions that maybe I cannot answer, for example, because I don't have the same experience, because I don't have the same knowledge. But I can be an ally, I can assist, I can support, and I can add my views to that. So I think that would be a very basic perspective from my part of view. Maybe Nana and Shiva, maybe Edwin, maybe someone else, maybe Dallas, if you want to add something. But that was my first thought on that.
Thank you, Wasim. Yes, we in Hamburg have probably the most dark-skinned black members, Shiva, myself, and Dallas. Dallas, who grew up in Dresden as a black young man, is obviously also has different kind of levels of experience than we do. But in general, if we talk about it politically, I think Shiva already mentioned before the Antidiskriminierungsgesetz oder das Gleichbehandlungsgesetz, AGG, Allgemeines Gleichbehandlungsgesetz. That is something that needs to be strengthened. And with that policy and strengthening that policy throughout the nation, then the discrimination policies will obviously affect all the other structures, because then we can always refer to this policy, to this law, to defend ourselves. When it comes to anti-black discrimination, because I saw another question that ties into this in the chat, we have worked very hard in the party to disperse colorism and anti-black racism, which was, even with us, an approach that needed to be taken and was work. We have changed our Satzung, I don't know the English word for it. We have adopted a special part in our Satzung, our Grundregeln rechtlich, party goals, in order to address the definition of what is black and who is black, and definitely therefore also the rights of people that are black. Generally, we have quotas within our party for every Landesvorstand, meaning we have 50% BIPOC people in every Landesvorstand. It can never be a just white Landesvorstand. And then also 50% Flinter, female, in every Landesvorstand. That is in our codes. It's written and manifested in our laws. Therefore, we will always highlight the plights of discriminated people in everything that we do. I hope that has helped. I know certain areas of Germany are going to be tougher. Hamburg isn't as tough as maybe Bavaria or Leipzig. I don't know if Dallas wants to speak. Dallas, you can also speak in German if you want to. But as a person who has been affected by that and therefore moved to Hamburg, maybe his approach is also very important.
Thank you for the invitation. First of all, as a perspective of to grow up in the east part of Germany, it's like I moved to Hamburg because it is a harder way to go into the politics as a black man, because in the east part there are so many people still. They are don't know about what they can say about black people or no, or just different things. It is a way harder to get into the politics in the east part of Germany than in the west, like Hamburg, Munich, all these cities over there. It takes an easier step to grow a community over there, and then moving slowly to the east part to get to bring them to help them more to build in a big and strong community in Germany.
I can speak for Munich and Bavaria because I'm mostly active here. What we've done here is, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's not just me. We are a Landesverband here, so we are many people, but we are really focusing on combining the arts with the politics. So there's a lot of events where we are, for example, hosting panels, discussions, but also having showcases, like live performances of people from the continent. Like we are inviting people from Senegal, from Egypt, from different parts from Rwanda, from Congo, from different parts of the continent to be present here, and also, of course, to include the communities, the different Black communities in Munich, or broader in Bavaria, but mostly in Munich, I would say. So we're trying to build platforms, not only as the Urbane, as a political platform, but also through events, through hosting events, or also to participate in other events of like the demonstrations or other community events, to be there and to support and to give space, room, and also capacity. We support those events with one-man power, to establish some rooms where we can celebrate our cultures, where we can come together and empower ourselves, but also to combine it with the political perspective of gathering and bringing the community closer together, because there's, as I mentioned, different communities, and we're trying to bring them together to strengthen our force, to be like the fingers on the fist, kind of. So this is, I would say, what we're trying to establish in Munich or in Bavaria in general. And there were like big events, like we did some major big, like in the Olympic Stadium or stuff, where we brought Black people from all over Bavaria on the stage to perform and to do poetry and music and traditional music and rap and everything. So I would say that's the main focus. But of course, there's different approaches of every member, of every active member. But I would say that's my core focus.
So thank you so much for having you guys. I like the way you are elaborating your party and all. And I'm sorry that I had to go away a little bit. I wanted to find out if you have already stated what is your party constitution. I hear everybody saying Hamburg and all those places. I live in Baden-Württemberg, Stuttgart area. Do you have representation there? Is it only for Black people or people of color, so to say? Or first of all, I'd like to know the constitution of the party. What do you stand for? Where are you focusing? Is it only in bigger cities or where? That's my first question to begin with. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Yes, we have Landesverbände, Landesvorstände in several places. Unfortunately, as I said yesterday, because we do it ehrenamtlich, or we're not paid for, it is not always possible for groups and people to continuously do the work without support. So we used to have 7 different Landesvorstände in 7 different Bundesländer. That has been reduced. Right now, we are only in Berlin, Bayern, NRW, Hamburg. We do, and I'm very happy that you mentioned Baden-Württemberg, because I have a lot of family there, and I've been trying very hard to get Hessen and Baden-Württemberg on our polls as well, to get them active, but it's been very, very complicated. But this is our approach, to have Landesvorstände all over Germany, in every Bundesland or Hansestadt. That is first of all, for that. And then we're definitely not only Black. It is a BIPOC, so Black, Indigenous, people of color are our focus. And I think one of the reasons why I am at the moment recently been promoted to the head of the party is simply because that we know that especially Black people and especially Black women are discriminated against so strongly that it creates a strong base and a strong picture if we have a Black woman as the head of the party. I never really wanted this position in general. I just wanted to be active, but due to the way things are and when you are very active and you get the support, obviously you do this. I am doing this for the first time, and it is obviously something that is a learning approach, but definitely something that I want to include. I want to include all migrants in this approach because all migrants are being affected by the things we are trying to work against. So if you know people in Baden-Württemberg who would be interested to join or even create a Landesvorstand, please contact us. I have tried my cousins and I've pushed and argued with them, but I have not been able to get people who are willing to, because it is difficult to stand there with your face and everything and do this work in a society where you're normally discriminated against. So I understand that people have their reservations on if they're able to do this. I am just a very stubborn person, so it's not that hard for me. But I do understand, but I really wish, especially that places like Baden-Württemberg would be represented so that we can do work in those areas with everybody there. Is this answer adequate, or would you like more information?
It is adequate for now. The question was just only that because we also have a huge population in Baden-Württemberg, Stuttgart area. We have a lot of Black people and they don't know about this. So to move forward, to be included in this and have an understanding, probably it would be nice to have somebody represent in this side, the southern part of Germany, where we get an understanding. So this is why I asked.
Yes, we know about the huge. I mean, I used to, Esslingen is a place where one of my family members are, and I used to go on holiday there. So I do know Stuttgart, Esslingen, all these areas. We have quotas and regulations on how to do a Landesvorstand, and we always have to have at least 3 people present to create one. So it's not just one person that we can advocate and say, you're going to be there for Baden-Württemberg. We will need 3 people, and there's regulations on how to join together and make an official Landesvorstand. So I explained our quotas before: 50% BIPOC, 50% female. All these things need to be upheld, and then we can actually have a Landesvorstand which can actually go into action. But we do have members in your area. You can be a member in our party without having a Landesvorstand in your Bundesland. You can be a member as long as you're in Germany, even from outside Germany.
Okay. So if we would organize ourselves in this region and contact you, would it be enough for 3, 5, 6 people to start that movement?
100%, definitely, and we would love it. Our email is on our website. You can contact us via email, or you can write to me on my TikTok or my Instagram, whatever, and I will communicate or do the rest of the communication then with you. But definitely that would be, we would really love it. So, your boy, let's do this.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm joining from Bernburg, that is in Saxony-Anhalt. So it's my first time here, and I'm asking what the party is, and someone said it's a political party. So how do you become a member? One, then, sorry, I don't know all these political terms, right? So are you active? Like, let's say we want to vote for you in a particular city or town. Are you active there? Yeah.
Okay, so I'll jump in here. Thank you for your question. I think you joined us later because we had some of those topics at the beginning. So I'm trying to explain short again. Yes,
Okay.
we are a political party. You can join us. You can join us from Germany, from also outside Germany. You can also be active inside the party and to contribute to the program, to the demands that we represent on a political agenda. So you can be part of the active community too. Of course, you're very welcome and invited. This is what we are building the platform for. And yes, we are running for the federal election right now, for the Bundestagswahl. But first of all, we have to collect support signatures, Unterstützungsunterschriften, because as a small party, you cannot just run for the election. You're not automatically on the ballot. You have to collect a lot of support signatures first, so you're allowed to be on the ballot, and people can actually vote for us. So that's where we are right now. But yes, we've participated in elections before on a federal level, like on Bundestagswahl, on a state level, like Landtagswahl, also the local Kommunalwahlen. I think Hamburg was running right now. We did it in Munich too, and in Berlin. So yeah, we're running on different levels, and yeah, this I think that's very shortly, briefly.
Oh, okay. So for the members, must the person be a German citizen?
No, you do not
Okay.
have to be a German citizen to become a member of our party. It does not matter what kind of national you are. If you have residence in Germany, that's great. Or if you previously had residence in Germany, it's on our website. If you go on our website, d-urbane.de, then you can find how to become a member. And through the portal there, you can send us an email with all of the information that we need for you to become a legal member. Even if you are not able to give like monetary contributions, if you can't pay a monthly fee, that's also okay, because we want to hear your voice. We need to hear your voice. That's why we are here. Yes. And
Okay,
in
so what is the
Sachsen,
monthly fee? Sorry.
the minimum monthly fee is €2.50.
€3.50. Okay.
€2.50.
€2. Oh, so I can do that.
Yes. Yes.
Transfer
And in
for 1
Sachsen,
year, sir.
Yeah, I
per
know.
month.
Okay, so my thing is, I'm not so good with this political thing. So if I go to the website, I do all the necessary things, then is there someone in the party that you can ask questions and connect with? Because I know right now on this platform, you have to answer questions of everyone, right? That comes up. So are they people that can explain later? Like if I do this, then I can contact this person and say, okay, this is it, this is that.
We're always available over email and our social media accounts. That's always an option. Additionally, we have a defense squad. It's a BIPOC only community that we have a signal chat for. So that's definitely a space where you can become active and voice your opinions and talk about your struggles. At the moment, we don't have a Landesvorstand in Sachsen-Anhalt, but we do have other members there. So connecting, we can see how we can connect you with those members, so you guys can talk to each other about the situations in Sachsen-Anhalt, and maybe also like get another Landesverband started over there to increase the representation and amplify your guys' voices.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much.
Hi guys, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Fran here on TikTok, and I live near Heidelberg. This is in Baden-Württemberg. This is a small village, but this is the direction from Heidelberg, Moosbach, So, and the reason I just wanted to come up here and talk a little bit is because I think if someone later take a look at my page, they will see that I have a purpose. The reason that I'm here, I didn't want exactly to join here, but I had to. and the fact that I'm a black woman, and I realized after so many struggles, and especially because I've been victim of discrimination here, and I don't want to say the R word for this life, but I mean the R word, and then also my aunt, I realized that many laws doesn't apply to us, necessarily apply to us blacks, or it doesn't, is they don't respect it at all. So many things has happened to us that was very, very much illegal. And then I wondered, why is it possible? I didn't know how to defend myself, because especially when you don't have a lawyer, when certain people don't let you have lawyers, because yeah, so many stuff going on that are. And then I decided to then join a party, political party. And the first time I actually heard about the Urbane, it was on Instagram, because I saw a small video, and then I thought it was very cool, but I didn't thought at that time, I think it was last year, to join the party, because I didn't know, I didn't have interest at the time to join at all. Oh, I'm sorry. So yeah, no, I just wanted to introduce myself. That's why, because you said to introduce yourself. So, and then I have a question, because you say you guys are collecting signatures now. So, do you, of course, I'm from another party now, from Volt, but I wanted to ask how many signatures are left now, and yeah.
Okay. In general, like I said before, we are only in 4 Bundesländern. We are in Hamburg, Bayern, NRW, and Berlin. And those are the only places where we can collect signatures. So if you're not in those, then that doesn't apply. I can't tell you the exact amount for everyone, because we keep having to update. But we still need several hundred all over the place. And we only have to the 20th of January. So it probably is, we know that because of the vorgezogene Neuwahl, it will be nearly impossible for us to actually make it. But that is not an issue that affects us in that sense so much, because, like I said before, it's about getting more members, understanding exactly what our people need, and enforcing and learning about the policies that need to be put in place. If we would have had until September, this would have been a simpler and a stronger way to go forward, and we probably would have made it. But this short-term announcement, I want everybody to understand that the fact that Scholz and Lindner did this, and Scholz asked this question already in December, and the vote of confidence question in December, and us having the actual Bundestagswahl in February, means it excludes 90 or 80% of all small parties in taking part. The moment you do not have the financial backing as a party like Volt, you are immediately excluded out of this process, because there are so many different regulations that need to be upheld within that short time, that most small parties won't be able to make it. And this is not something that people are not aware of, or that the government isn't aware of. They are fully aware of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we do not take it as a sign to give up, but rather to grow and to continue, because if a Neuwahl was able to take place this quickly, it can happen again. We don't know how the situation is. So we're going to continue to grow, continue to do our work, manifest all the things we can put into place, so that as soon as another situation arises, we are there. And as Wasim also said, we're also in communal. We have Bürgerschaftswahl here in Hamburg. Then we have 2026 in Berlin, in 2027 in NRW. And in those places, it is more likely for us to make it in a communal or Landtagswahl, simply because the barriers aren't as high. So these are the ones we focus on first. And if we have made it in a few different Bundesländer, then it is much easier to continue to do that on a national level. So we're not going to be daydreaming and expecting we're just going to jump into Bundestag and we're going to reign and manage the whole country, but rather in steps, simply because that way we can ensure that we're doing the right thing for the people who trust us and who vote for us.
Yeah, I'm joining from Essen. Okay. Essen, not one. Yeah. Please, I want to ask because from I've been on down listening all this while. So, and there's something she said, like, if, for instance, they are not up to the numbers, they may not really contest. So I'm asking, if you may not, is there any party are you going to join to make up? You know, if the Urbana is not up to the standard to, contest, is there any other party like is going to join together among all the parties? Did you get my question?
Yes, I get your question. Again, if there wouldn't have been this Neuwahl done so quickly, smaller parties would have been able to sit down, discuss, and see if that is possible. But because of the pressure that we have right now to do everything within several weeks, the likelihood of that happening for Bundestagswahl is not that high. But like I said, it isn't something that needs to be done on a national level to that extent, because we can be in opposition within every Bundesland to combat these laws and regulations, as long as we have enough members to stabilize our work.
Yeah, so
I don't know if I'm.
No, is there somebody put it here? He said coalition politics, a kind of somebody, any other party that you know. But I didn't mention it well.
I am not willing to mention different parties right now, because
Okay.
I mentioned at the beginning that all these parties are based on the fundament of white supremacy. And many parties who are saying that they're anti-racist have taken lots of our program and whitewashed it to fit their programs. So they will sound like they are part of the new movement and we want to be more colloquial, like, for example, Volt. But in general, if you see who is representing it and what they really want, and if you read into it properly, you will see that, really honestly, our needs are not reflected in their programs. So it is hard for me as Vorsitzende to now say, yes, we'll take this party and this party and this party, because there needs to be in-depth discussions so that we don't disappoint the people who believe in us.
Hello and good afternoon, everybody. So I've been listening also at the background, and my concern is practically about the discriminations that children face. And we have had to work with a lot of parents who are complaining about the children's grade. It seems like there's a lot of systemic discrimination going on to reduce the quality of migrant children, like making them fail intentionally in the classes, not giving them attention, and things like this. And what we offer in Language Afrique is more like a tutorial Nachhilfe for mathematics, German, and some other core courses. And also we include learning other African languages for those who are interested, as well as Deutsch as a foreign language for those who want to learn German language on languageafrique.com. My concern now in this discussion is I want to know, I have 3 questions. I will just ask them at a stretch and then leave so that others can have the time. My first question is, who are the current sponsors for this party? That's one. Then the second is, since you mentioned that we have until the 20th of January, it means the time is so short and it's intentional, like you mentioned, to keep the smaller parties away. And you wouldn't want to join them because they have obviously their own ulterior motives. The second question is, why not ask the different communities that are already the African communities that we already have? Why not ask these different communities? For example, we have African moms in Deutschland. There are over 7,000 people. You have like Africans in Deutschland, there are almost like 10,000 people there. There are so many communities, and this is not just about one Bundesland or one area. It comprises the whole of Germany. So since you're a political party who has the intention of helping the community, why don't you, you know, partner with such communities and build something? It's not just enough to host events and host seminars and workshops. It's not just that. There's so many things you can do. And from there you can actually get sponsors. That's why I asked my first question, who are the current sponsors of this community? Because whoever sponsors or finances the party directs how that party can move. Whoever feeds you directs what you can do and what you can't do. So this is also a limitation for the party, obviously.
Yes,
So,
you are very
you know,
correct in that. I think we should definitely answer the question about the sponsors. We as a party do not have a grand sponsor in a way that it's a single organization or anything like that. We are funded 100% by our membership fees. So the people who are members and who pay a monthly fee, that is all the money that we have. And also the aspect of considering big donors is a difficult and, in a sense, a colonial structure in itself, because the people who give you money, they own you.
that's it.
And
That's what I'm saying.
exactly, that is a very big political issue, not just in Germany, not just in Europe. That's how Western democracy is designed. And it's something that we definitely want to work against. And to your other question of why not work with these communities like African Mums in Germany and all these other African communities that are already established, it is by design a very common way to think about politics is to want to stay away from it. We have been in contact and trying to be in unity with a lot of different projects, with a lot of different communities. And the response that we have received up to now, almost 100% of the time, is we are not political. We do not want to be in association with a political party or just one political party, because they fear the repercussions of being political, and they would rather only do social community work because they don't want to connect the fact that anything that is social community work is automatically political.
Makes sense.
Yes, I hope that answers your two questions.
Yes, then why not go for GoFundMe or something?
A GoFundMe?
Yeah, we're looking for funds because you have to push yourself up. We have to find a way to support this party to grow.
It is true. We are still in discussion. Nobody can make a decision just by themselves. Obviously, everything is democratic, and we always have to sit down and discuss and vote and do Parteitag to discuss these things. We probably would have started at GoFundMe if Neuwahl wouldn't have come so surprisingly. Again, I have to repeat, we are all doing this next to our actual jobs, so we do it in our free time. So to have the means to also do all the work we need to do in order to be part of Bundestagswahl and do these extra meetings and discuss what we are supposed to do is a lot if you're just doing it in your free time. So again, if the voting or if Bundestagswahl would have been in September, this would have also been an approach. But right now, we are still in the process of trying to get into Bundestagswahl, and if not, then obviously approaches with more community work and GoFundMe will be a part of it. We want people to join us so that they can take over certain parts of the jobs, that because we are few people and who are taking responsibility, and if we have more people who want to take responsibility and work on it, we get more done, obviously. So don't be shy, become members, and let's support each other and then grow and get all these things done.
Okay, ich drücke dir die Daumen.
Okay, I'm joining from Germany, Stuttgart. And my question to Nana. Nana, must it be that they have to have the numbers and the requirement right now for this political party to excel into the Bundestag, or we can let this slide and then keep working until we are able to get this momentum and the members and the other requirements to go into the Bundestag? Must it be now, or it can also be done later? Because if it can be done later, we can as well start mobilizing. Every other person comes hand on the deck, and then get ready for the next process. And if yes, when is the next process? That's my
Okay,
question.
wonderful question. Thank you very much. As I said before, we are not going to put every pressure on this Bundestagswahl simply because it has been moved ahead of time. If it were in September, that would still be our approach, to put everything into that. Right now, I feel our approach is to obviously still try Bundestagswahl, but our main approach is to grow in numbers, grow in awareness, and strengthen our party, our policies, strengthen our numbers in every sense. So, especially you said you are from Stuttgart. We are not represented in Stuttgart. We need people there. So that would also be something that would help and strengthen the situation. Is that answer adequate, or would you like more details?
The more details I would just throw. I mean, you answered it very well. But do you also have plans for grassroots, like the upcoming young people between the ages of 14, 15, 16, 17? Do you also have plans for grassroots people or young Africans, or the ones that are like born here and maybe have two different parents, one German and the other one African? Do you also have program for these people? Because I think they are very strong, they are well organized, and when they want something, they know how to get it done.
Yes, it's very good that you're asking the right person. I have been a strong advocate of young people in our party. It's one of the reasons why my daughter is part and is also communicating here. Very, very strong advocate. We have a grassroots project in Hamburg about racism in schools, where we let young students, especially obviously those affected of racism and who want to be active, communicate exactly what the problem is. They can fill out a survey, and then we have approaches on how to combat and communicate that to the school. We've gone to schools to communicate the issues and spoken to officials. However, I personally, and I have said that several times to the rest of the party, but obviously everything is something that needs to be discussed with everybody and agreed upon. But I personally want to have a youth Landesverband in every Landesverband. So we have the normal Landesverband, and then we have a youth group. That is something that is absolutely necessary, because obviously the change in everything is in the youth. I'm 47. My generation has already done a lot, and I feel like the younger generation will bring approaches that will be able to be manifested in a way that they will also benefit from it. So I am very much an advocate for including young people. I myself was political from the age of 10, and I feel lots of other, especially BIPOC youths, are political in every way, and their voices need to be heard. I have raised my children to be very active, and every other young person around me. I have an activist group called Loud and Proud, which is basically just a stage for young BIPOC activists to voice their demands on stage. So I've always been an advocate of it, and I want to establish that in every area of the country.
Yeah, I'm Energy Vibration. I'm from Munich here. Yeah, in Germany here. So okay. So my question is, hello? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So my question is to Nana or any member of the party. I want to ask, as Urban Party lack of requirements to be on the ballot paper, which political party are they going to support, or if I may ask, vote for? That's my first question. Then secondly, why did they use the slogan hip hop Partei?
Hello, Energy. Thank you for your question. I will answer one part and I would give the second part to Wasim, the hip hop part, Wasim, so you can prepare for it. I have also already said before that all the parties, political parties in Germany, are based on white supremacy. Therefore, a party like ours, which is decolonial and definitely against the white supremacist system, it is essential for us to not disappoint our members by joining together with or highlighting a party that goes against principles that we stand for. So for me to mention another party that should be voted for is in that sense wrong, because that would betray our people and go against our principles and our code of conduct. If there is another party that actually is as strong as us in defending the rights for migrants, then definitely I would, but I have not seen that. I will let Wasim answer the hip hop based question because I have spoken a lot.
Okay, thank you. Yes, for me, of course, I'm a hip hop artist, so for me that's a very self-explanatory move to join this party. But I think the general idea of bringing the hip hop knowledge, the hip hop idea, and also the history and also the current power of hip hop into politics is for me a very clear sign or a very clear message. Because when we talk about hip hop, we have to talk about colonialism, racism, and of course also empowerment and the voice to the silenced. So there's a lot of topics, a lot of political topics actually, that are coming with hip hop. Of course, there's also the mainstream part of it, like the rap, mainstream visibility of hip hop culture in a way. But of course, the subculture and all the history, all the knowledge, all the very important voices within Black communities and other communities that were able to be heard through hip hop, that they are often unseen or unheard or silenced. So for us, that's also part of the name, to be really focused on bringing up people that are discriminated. And when we talk about the culture itself, hip hop, we have, like I explained, we have a very straight drawing to neo colonialism, to white supremacy, to annexing land, like the northern part of America, the USA today. So when we talk about the history that comes with the concept of hip hop, I think it's a very easy and clear way to opening all those subjects and topics that we were talking about the past 1.5 hours. And also, it's a very good way to approach the youth. It's a very good way to approach artists. It's a good way to approach people that are in somehow connected to different kinds of discriminations, and to bring them together under one big umbrella, I would call it, or party, as we are building a party, to really combine our strengths and be inspired by hip hop that made it from the bottom to the top, I would say, from a very discriminated over 100 years, of course, when we talk about colonialism and racism, more than 500 years, but also just the beginning of hip hop, like in the Bronx in the 70s, 1973, until now, like 50 years later. It's a very positive story to tell, and very inspiring story to tell, to have seen people that are being discriminated, Black people and other people, or people that face other discriminations, that made it within 50 years from a very discriminated position in our global society to a well-known, well-established, and fascinating culture that's celebrated around the globe. Anywhere we go, people know hip hop or rap or graffiti or breakdance. but not all of them know the history of our political system right now, like the neo-colonialism. But hip hop, it's everywhere, so it's a very good chance to combine those topics, because the one is very well known and mainstream and can pull a lot of people, and then you can bring the political agenda into it and bring the knowledge into it. I would say that's the main core, the main reason.
I
And
would
of
like
course,
to add something to it, if I can. Music has culturally, for us, especially Black people, always been a way of expressing how we feel. And for example, I was raised on high life music, on reggae, on soca, and all of them always tell stories. They tell stories of how life really is for us. They might be happy, they might also be sad and talk about poverty and in all the different types of struggles that we go through. And when we talk about hip hop in general, we're not talking about the hip hop that is being sold off by white executives that tell us to use the B word for women and to talk badly about our Black females and stuff like that. No, we're talking about the roots, the times where hip hop was just a turntable and somebody on the mic talking about how their day was and how the struggle really affects them. And this is what we're talking about when we talk about hip hop. Many people think that we're only talking about the bling and the big cars and all this capitalism and everything that has come out of it, because white people have seen it as a franchise that they can benefit from. But that's not what we're talking about when we talk about hip hop. We're talking about the actual roots of it. We could just as well be called the High Life Party, or I don't know, Fela Kuti Party, or it's all about music, culture, empowerment of people who are discriminated against. I hope that has explained it a bit more. We have had the argument and the discussion with many people about using hip hop in general. And it will probably always continue to be a discussion. But we are always happy to take feedback from everybody.
Thank you very much. I'd like to ask something about economic equity, because I think you mentioned on the other topics a lot before, but I haven't really heard something about that. So marginalized communities, particularly Black people, as we know, are disproportionately affected by wealth inequality. So my question would be, what specific policies is the Urbane planning to implement to address this?
Thank you very much for your question. Yeah, it's a very important topic to raise, economic inequality and economic empowerment in general. Previously, we mentioned that in our party, we have certain quotas, 50% BIPOC and 50% for women. And that ensures that voices are being heard that are usually silenced. It ensures that the struggles of those peoples will come to the forefront, and then we can fight them all together, because then we come from a space where we understand each other, and then we can help each other. And that's something that we need to bring into the economics as well. We need companies to be obliged to include this quota or similar quotas. Mazi, can you please turn off your microphone? Thank you. We need companies to adopt these quotas in order to make sure that the representation within the company reflects the representation in the country. Because if that is not given, we will always be discriminated against, because there's nobody at the top to listen, to represent, to understand us. Another thing that is maybe more tangible is the minimum wage. It's currently at 12 euros and 82 cents, which is not enough to live on for anyone. Our benchmark is to put that a lot higher than what it is now, to ensure that the people who are so-called low-skilled workers, which is a capitalist term for marginalized people who are not allowed to get greater skills, not because they are unskilled, but because they are kept from gaining skills. That's a very important distinction. So they can make a living, actually pay what they get paid what they are owed for the skills that they have, for the jobs that they perform, and take care of their families and take care of their livelihoods. And the third thing I want to mention here that we've also said a couple of times already is the Allgemeine Gleichbehandlungsgesetz, the anti-discrimination law that we have in Germany. If and when we manage to get that law enforced, or get that law strengthened rather, it will enable people who are employed to make demands to their employers that have to be respected. It's not just about racism and discrimination, it's also about hiring practices, firing practices, and anything that goes in within the country and the companies. Wage distributions, we have a racial gap between people who are Black and people who are white, who do the same jobs but get paid differently. These things need to be addressed for economic empowerment purposes. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, very, very good answers. Thank you very much.
I wanted to ask, who are the founders, and how many people, how many members do you have in this Urbane Party? That would be good awareness. I know I can organize a number of people in Baden-Württemberg that we become part of it. And I did ask about the constitution. I don't think that answer was answered. I didn't get it quite clearly. That would be also a step forward to know and understand what we are partnering with or what we want to join. That would be very helpful. Thank you.
We have a group of founders that are not here today, unfortunately. I don't know if Fabian is in the chat and wants to be part of, he, as a white man, wants to take a back seat in this discussion. But I guess if we really want to hear from the founders, we can have Fabian come up. I am not one of the founders. I did not join at the beginning. However, the founders themselves are on the page. They are mentioned. We have Raphael Hillebrand, a dancer, an artist from Berlin. We have Niki Drakos, Fabian Blume, generally artists, musicians, activists who came together and decided that this is a necessary approach to have this political party. I'm sorry, what was the second part of the question?
How to get together in Baden-Württemberg.
I think the Baden-Württemberg situation we've discussed about emailing or messaging us so that. Mazi, can you repeat the second part?
Yeah, I was talking about the Baden-Württemberg and the constitution of the party, to know if we really stand for the same values. If the founders are anti-racist, or they're just doing a systematic kind of way to like bring Black people and get votes, they should be like, what issues are you really tackling? Are you into the school? Are you having a member who sits in the Bundestag that is representing the Urbane Party to speak for us, so that they also we're inclusive of our needs and wants?
Well, the founders are just like us, 50% BIPOC, so they're not just talking about racism. Most of them are affected by it, just like every Landesvorstand. So the constitution generally can be seen, can be read on our website. It's our program, just as well as the constitution, is all open, and it always bases on the fact that there is fairness, Gleichberechtigung, within the party. That is our foundation to work on that. And it will be the foundation for every Landesvorstand that will be created within Germany. We are not in Bundestag yet. I think we've said that several times. We have nobody there. We are in opposition to the systems that are in place. And with our projects, we get acknowledgement. For example, I have said here in Hamburg, we had a project, or a grassroots project, that we still have with racism in schools. And as soon as we started approaching students and working on this project and becoming and going openly on Instagram and so on with these students, we had a call from Rathaus and school boards that realized that what we were doing is right and encouraged us to continue, asked us for our rules and regulations so that they can combine them to theirs. So there's always, as an opposition, it's always we start something, and as soon as the ruling organizations see that what we're doing is something that the community and whatever supports, then immediately we get invited to the table to discuss and work on bettering the situation. And that is exactly what we want to do on a scale nationwide, bit by bit in each Bundesland.
Thank you. Maybe one last more, if the host would allow me, is do you have like a support system where one will need Unterstützung? Either in the school, we have a lot of African moms, like somebody did mention, these not everybody in African moms in Deutschland are social workers. Maybe those ones could be excluded, but the community is so huge. And now hear how a mother is not able to express herself and her child is sent to another school even when they have good grades. Are you approachable in terms of providing support to stand by such people who are marginalized in our society, be it at work, be it at in schools, or where they have to go and seek help, or the services that are offered to a regular German, but in term are denied by a person, denied to a person of color? Have you got such systems put in place, and what platforms are you on? Are you regular on this platform? Because I just heard about the Urbane Partei, I think 3-4 days ago, from Restinka, who actually talked very well about your party and advised us to actually get knowledge of what you do. So because I haven't noticed or seen, not everybody's using Instagram. What platforms are you regularly on? Are you informing the African people to really make these decisions to vote? And maybe if you would come in that direction, is there a support group that one can approach, one of your members who would give support to such mothers, or in terms of school helping out, like to be a representative or just to be a big lighter and have an understanding of the school system or a workspace and all? I'll really appreciate if you tackle that too. Thank you.
That's a lot. Okay. First of
Sorry,
all, when
you just do it the way you can.
Okay, like I said, here in Hamburg, we have definitely helped and supported parents in these situations when we've been approached and asked, or people wrote to us emails or on Instagram or whatever, or knew us already out of the scene. I have personally done lots of mediation sessions with schools. However, not every Landesvorstand is adequately they don't have social work. I have social work experience. Not everybody has the social work experience, so we are still building this part up in every Landesvorstand. And that, again, we need to mention ehrenamtlich, without being paid. So we need more people to help so that people are free to do these kind of activities. For example, if I am freed of certain other things, I can do more in that part. So yes, we need to be stronger when it comes to supporting the community in that aspect, but for that we need to grow. And if we're not in your Bundesland, it's going to be very, very hard to do so. I have social work experience. I also have worked with Refugee Council for many years. So when there's issues on refugees, up to today, I get people just messaging me just like that on Facebook and saying, oh, I heard you can help me with this and this law, or finding a lawyer, or this and that. And I would answer all these questions, but we haven't had a strong enough system, because we are all working in our own free time, to establish that in every Landesverband.
Yeah, I am Fabian, like one of the founders of the party, the Urbane. But since I'm a white ally, I thought that it's better to let like the BIPOC people speak and not to come like up front here. But Yeah, just I think that Nana already answered all the questions regarding that founding thing, and of course, like to be a party from the hip hop community and from the hip hop movement, always is like very how to say it, like there's a lot of discussions about it, but I think that also opens a lot of doors, because when we were founded back in 2017, we had even interviews with BBC London, we had interviews with like CNN Turkey and so on and so on. So that's definitely an advantage. But of course, it was a lot of a lot of work to explain to the people that we are a huge like a movement from a huge base, like from the hip hop culture, which is definitely something you have to you have to be how to say Yeah, I think it's not really important to say that. I just wanted to say something about like the founders and how we founded the party from like the hip hop community and so on. But I think that's it was answer enough from the other members of the board. I think the idea was like simultaneously growing in a lot of people in the Berlin hip hop movement. Like a good friend of mine, who's also like the first chairman of the party and founder, Raphael Hillebrand. As mentioned before, he came up with the idea to like go like from all the activism. So we are all like activists. This is one thing that's really important to know, that we all come from like an activist background, and we do like I did a lot of workshops like in eastern part of Germany, because I come from the eastern part of Germany, and I always did like workshops with migrant peoples and with like people from like BIPOC people and so on that were discriminated against in the eastern part of Germany, which is like very, very bad, like still is very bad for people of color and Black people. And we always thought about like being an activist is fine, like on a base level. So it's fine to help people in the communities and to do stuff, but the decisions to come up with like huge ideas and laws and so on, that's all happens in on a politician or on a politics level. And that's why we thought about like, why not going into politics? So one important thing to know is, or to mention here, is that we never thought about like being a typical party, like collaborating with other parties and doing like what the system is telling us to do. We just wanted to establish a party, but to change the system with it, if it makes sense what I say. So it's more like the activist approach of having a political party, but to go there where the decisions are made.
My question to Mr. Fabian, respectfully, don't you think maybe people, especially the elderly ones, are going to think you guys are musicians and has nothing to offer? Yes.
That's a good question. I think that if it comes to like usual musicians, not hip hop activists, I would think that could be a very relevant thing, but hip hop always is connected to activism. I don't think like, I mean, I'm a rapper myself, so, but I always was like political active. So for me, there was no, you can for me personally, I can like take the hip hop aspect and the political aspect and divide them. For me, it's the same thing. So to be a hip hop musician is to be a political activist. So that's why I think of course, we have to offer a lot. I think, or I hear myself like with a delay or something. Okay. I mean, of course, people ask us those questions like, you are musicians and you are DJs, but it's not the thing that we are only consisting of like people from like the musical background. We also had like promoters in our founder team, like people who promote hip hop tours and so on and so on. And we had like breakers and so on. So this is a lot of people from the whole hip hop movement, not only from the musical perspective of hip hop.
And I also add something to that. Thank you, Fabian, and you're on the spot. But I want to add to that as I've said before, it is always important with politics not to just vote on face value. So to say, oh, the name of the party is hip hop, so they have nothing to offer, without looking into our program, without looking into our constitution, is negligent by the voter. So if you look at what we have to offer, then you see we have a lot to offer. And it is beyond just music, because we're not just people who do music. I, for example, also promoted parties, Afrobeat parties, reggae dancehall events, concerts. But it's not just about that, because we are multifunctional. So I am a promoter, I am an activist, I am a mother, I am a politician. Do you understand? So it's all these things in one, and all these things can contribute to helping and supporting and empowering migrant people.
So as the party, I'm beginning to like them, but I wanted to add this question also. Are they ready to bear all the brutalities as upcoming parties? Are they ready for all those things? Because the path that they are heading to, I believe they are going to face so much brutality, as they wanted to fight for the black community and all those stuff. Are they ready to face all the brutalities as upcoming parties?
A very, very good question. Very good question. Energy, where are you from? Which country?
Nana,
If you don't want to answer,
Nana,
it doesn't matter if you don't want to answer. But
yeah, I'm also Nana. I'm from Ghana too.
You see,
yeah.
so you know Nana Santua already. If you're asking somebody with the name Asantua, you know already the stubbornness that is in that person. But in general, yes, the reason why we say we are radical anti-racist is because we know exactly what pressure we are facing. We know exactly how difficult it's going to be to push forward with our demands. And we know we have to stand fast and do this. And it has been obviously an issue generally because we get tired, but we have enough people to, if I get tired, I know I can rely more on Wasim or on Dallas or whatever to take the forefront. But we are fully aware of how hard it is. That is exactly why we have been here since 2017 and haven't gotten that far, because we know that we are facing strong borders, strong barriers, and we have to be aware that it would take longer to get to where we want to go. So we have to have a long breath and consistency in what we're doing.
All right, thank you, Afrobiz. Well, to me, everything is quite clear about every political aspect and organization of the Urbane. Thank you for that. So I appreciate. I would like to use the opportunity to talk about the hip-hop contribution of the party, so that Fabian is actually currently now here. My question is, what you guys are you doing combining with hip-hop contribution to promote the party? For example, I hear that you guys are missing 700 voices, signature to be allowed to join the game. So as we know, as well as Germany, to me, this is possible. I think we could reach this. So my question is, what is the contribution of hip-hop's activities, and how could you use all these power to promote the party. To myself, to finish, I come from the hip hop branch. I grew up in Africa, so I would like to join the party and bring my experience. And I know that hip hop could do a lot that way. So could you tell me how does it look like? Fabian, thank you.
Sorry, I'm not really used to TikTok, so I had struggles to find the microphone button. As mentioned before, like this is all on a very short notice right now because the elections were supposed to take place in September and not in February. So that's why we have a lot of months we are missing to do something. So the plan was to have little tours with freestyle, emceeing and so on, and breaking and everything. So to collect those signatures we need, but to be honest, this is not possible to do that in that short amount of time right now. So that's why we are focusing on doing what we can do. Regarding the other thing, in general, what we do with hip hop, I mentioned that we all are activists from a hip hop background, or at least some kind of hip hop background. So we are used to have workshops with hip hop. So having kids sitting around and writing some lyrics, or having breaking workshops, but we all combine that with the message and you heard of those typical hip hop phrases like each one teach one. So as basic as it sounds, it is a very powerful tool for us. So to connect with the people, to connect with the communities, and to do it with the power of hip hop we have, with all the elements we have in hip hop. And that's something we do on a general level. So when we, for instance, when we come up with demonstrations, which we had a lot in the last couple of years, we do it, of course, with a stage, with an open mic, and express ourselves with rap lyrics and not only with speeches. So this is all things we do, and we also have. For the last elections, Nana, correct me if I'm wrong, or Wasim, we had a music video we did for the elections, and we invited a lot of different artists, and we combined it on one track, and we did a rap song with a video, and basically we use our knowledge and hip hop as a tool to each one teach one. So to teach the others. And I think.
Thank you, Fabian.
Yeah, thank you so much once again. My question would be, what deliberate policies are you going to put in place, knowing that the average African living in Germany has fear to join any political party, in terms of, no, they'll track me down, they're seeing what I'm doing, and they have this fear. What kind of policies are you willing to use, or adventurous things to use? Not everybody's into hip hop, not everybody's in that. How are you going to reach out to that person who's in a remote village somewhere in the huts and villages of Baden-Württemberg, or in the huts of Hamburg, where you are, to really make that awareness for these people? Are there set up policies that you reach out to such people, that you encourage them to be partisan in whatever we are or we are doing? Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to jump in. I know hip hop is in the name, but I have described before that it goes to all types of music and arts. So spoken word, our Afrobeat music, etc. Because I was, for example, highlighting Afrobeats events and festivals and booking people for that. In general, our outreach would be everything that we do. So added interviews and things like that in social media, obviously, but also when we have Kundgebung or whatever, we speak openly. I think manifestations, I think I have posted a few of them where I've reached over 20,000 in Berlin for one event, and so on and so forth. We go to community events. We have something in Hamburg like Sister Talk, where some of us would be part, or women's groups where we will be part, and we communicate and talk and reach out, and people who want to can join or just ask us when they need support and help. We don't just support people who are members, we support people who ask us for support. I have helped activists and people who are pro-Palestine to get out of police custody, for example. They are not members, but still I was asked, I was approached, and I went and I did my work. These are things that it's very broad. We can't just say it's just one or two things that we do. We are everywhere, and we do all sorts of approaches in order to get people from all aspects of life to join in.
Thank you once again. I'd actually have two questions, if that would be okay, but I'll start with the first one. If it takes too long, I'll make space up for someone else. The first one would be about your stance on social justice and basic income, because if I'm not mistaken, your party promotes the idea of universal basic income. So my question would be, what steps does your party propose to implement a universal basic income, and how would it be funded?
This is the first time I'm not sure how to answer. So I had to take a minute to think how to fund it. To be honest with you, this will probably be something that we want members to come and give us ideas to do so. I don't see that we have anything proper in place. I mean, Wasim and Fabian here, they can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we have anything actually in place right now to do so. We have our Partei program, obviously, and approaches to policies, which would be something that we would start, but I don't see that we have anything.
Well, for sorry that I just took the mic from you, Mom, but I just wanted to quickly add something, that universal basic income in itself is not a extremely new idea. There are initiatives and IFAUs that are currently exercising and trying to test this. There's a Volksinitiative that collected signatures a while ago in Hamburg to get this proposal in for the state government to vote on it. I think on the 17th they will have a hearing in the Rathaus to see if their proposal will pass. And there is an FV called Mein Grundeinkommen. I'm not sure how they're funded, but they have a lottery system in place for people to apply and then get lottery numbers assigned every month for them to have a chance to win a universal basic income. So these concepts are being exercised with different levels of funding, but they don't have a decolonial approach yet. So our focus is to learn from the approaches that are currently already going on in our societies, in our communities, incorporate them, better them with a decolonial aspect to make sure that discrimination will not take place. There's no use in making new systems that are flawed. They must be inclusive from the start. It's not a matter that we can solve later. We will solve it first. And there have also been ideas on how to change the taxation system to make way for funding for universal income. So maybe that is a couple ideas that can spark some people who are listening to also contribute to how we can make this happen.
And if I may add one thing to what Shiva mentioned and said, it's that, of course, we are a very idealistic party. And at the beginning, we just wrote the party a program with a lot of things that we like to have. So in a few topics we are very, very keen, and we have our people who have lots of knowledge if it comes to education and so on and so on. But we would never consider ourselves an economic party in that sense. But of course, over the time, like we have approximately 500 members, which is a number which is like growing very slowly, because we want to be very sustainable there with lots of active members who are continuously active. But in the beginning, we sat down and we thought about like what would be our ideal world. So, and of course, universal basic income, it's definitely if we talk about like a capitalism, if we talk about capitalism, sorry, and we cannot change capitalism from one day to another, but we can take a look at what could be the first steps to overcome the system. And that what was one of our basic thoughts, to say, okay, universal income, perfect, and let's go and find people who are aware of all the methods and everything, what's behind that over the time to make it possible.
I want to add to what Fabian said about our members. We have lost a substantial amount of members in the last year or so, simply because of our pro-Palestinian aspect, or our support for Palestinians, which obviously then brought us to these numbers. But we have always had more members, and we are now working to get more members into it again. We are not sad about the loss of these members, because obviously they have not understood the importance of being in support of discriminated people. But it has been hard to bring these numbers back. So become members and help us to grow as a political party.
All right. The next part would be something else that I noticed looking at the party program, and maybe you could explain further, because I've noticed you're in support of the withdrawal from the NATO. And my question would be, what are the reasons behind the Urbane support for Germany withdrawing from the NATO, and what alternative security concepts do they suggest?
Oh, first of all, war is something that we do not support. The NATO has not brought much security. Rather, it has infringed in the global south on many of our countries, like NGOs and so on and so forth. So there would not be any reason to support something that discriminates against our governments, our policies, our way of governing ourselves in the global south. So if we are going to say we are decolonial, we have to be against everything that is colonial here and in the global south. And the NATO is a colonial system, a colonial construct. Generally, we have always said that whatever system or structure we want to eradicate should be replaced with something that comes from the community, from the country, from the people that are actually affected by the changes. So if we say abolish the police, then we also have implied, okay, if the police is gone, obviously we need new structures. We still need structures to govern, to police, to or control crime in a certain extent, but it needs to be done by organizations that are not affected by white supremacy and racism. So then we have different organizations in place. For example, there should always be social workers or psychologists together, working together with whatever organization is managing crime, simply because we have situations like Mohamed Rame, who was actually a person who was depressed and wanted to do harm to himself, and then was shot and killed because there was no translator there was no psychologist there was nobody there in place to actually communicate before force is being implied. And this is a main problem within all these structures, that always force and brutality will be in the forefront before actually communication and support. And we want support before force. Does that make sense?
Yes. What would be the alternative if it comes to Germany withdrawing from the NATO?
I don't think Germany is, and the alternative to what? To the global south or to Germany?
For Germany as a country, what would be the alternative to NATO in your opinion?
It needs to be a totally different organization, if at all. It needs to be a coalition between the different countries and not a forceful organization that is managed by countries and money and white privilege.
I see. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's last question. Yeah, it's true. Before I close my pocket, I wanted to tell Fabian I'm also a mixing and mastering engineer. I learned it from Nuremberg, the one school called Deutsche Pop, but I would like to learn more from him. And also, back to my question. My question is, are the Urbane Party discouraged of the time frame given to submit the signatures? Is this time frame has discouraged them or what? That's my question. I wanted to know.
Okay, discourage, I wouldn't say, because we're still at it, and many small parties have said from the beginning when Scholz asked the question, we had a meeting with other small parties, and like I said, 90% of them said we won't even try, because they knew it will be very hard over a short period of time in the winter, with Christmas and New Year's Eve being part of this whole time frame, to get these amounts of signatures. We have not been discouraged. We, if you see on my social media and all of our social media, we have been calling out people to support us and give these signatures. So we wouldn't say we're discouraged, but we are aware of the difficulties, of the barriers that are in place, and we are aware of the discrimination that is in place of is part of this whole process. Because when we had COVID, for example, the signatures were reduced drastically because it was COVID and we were not allowed to be outside and be amongst people and so on. So the government, reduced the numbers of signatures. They did not do this now, even though we only had 8 weeks, which would have been the right way to go about this. And they purposely did not. And we have tried to fight against it. We have written emails, we have called out, and so on and so forth, but there has been no response. Other political parties have done that too, and there has been no response. So we're not discouraged. We're just making everyone aware of the fact that these are the problems, these are the situations, because people should be aware that it's not just easy. Like parties like Volt and other parties who have money, who have funding, and who have policies that white people would readily support, will have an easier way of getting into it than parties like us.
Okay, thank you. So I was listening all the time. Thank you very much for the questions and all the answers, and yeah, for participating in the movement. You're part of it now. Thank you for the conversations. My last word, I was thinking with many questions and with all the topics. So thank you. And I had some thoughts in mind with all those big topics and questions, because it will not be getting easier, probably. I think it's very important to highlight that Die Urbane, just as hip-hop as a culture, is a DIY party, do-it-yourself party, from my point of view, at least, because there are so many things that need to be done, and we are a limited number of people, and of course, we all are at our limits already with making this election possible, with running the party itself throughout the time. So I think it's very important to call at the end and at the beginning to participate, because all of those topics and questions, we need to face them together. We need to grow, we need to be more people, because it's a do-it-yourself party, and we cannot accomplish all of this with the people we are currently. So I think that
That's a very important part. And then also for running for the election, I think it's a responsibility to try everything we can. And some people can do something now, maybe later, maybe more, maybe less. But from my point of view, it's inevitable. Like I cannot not try to bring us on the ballots. It's a very important responsibility to at least try it as much as possible. So I'm also not like demotivated or something, because all of this is steps to grow, steps to connect, steps to plant seeds, and to just be there and show that we are giving our best and trying and fighting and establishing, and we won't give up, we won't shut up, we won't be silenced, even if we don't manage to achieve the biggest goals, to go into Bundestag or wherever. It's always very important to give everything we can, because there are many people who are not in this privileged position, and maybe who haven't even heard of the possibility to run or to be part of the party. So I think it's very important to just spread the idea and to keep moving and building. So yeah, thank you all for doing that.
Yeah, it's Shiva here. I would like to thank everyone who participated this far, who listened for the last 2.5 hours, everyone who answered and asked questions. Thank you very much for your participation and your involvement. I think from my perspective as a 25-year-old, it's incredibly important to talk to your people, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your co-workers, because if we all, even those one of us who can't vote, if we talk to all of the people that we know, if we have these conversations about politics, if we are adamant about the fact that our rights are not being heard the way the system is running right now, then we can fight together, because together we are strong. And I think that this whole sentence, together we are strong, everybody that is in attendance right now knows it. Everybody knows where this comes from. Everybody has felt this in their own communities, and that's what will bring us forward. So thank you for everyone for participating, and thank you for inviting us.
Maybe I go first to give Nana the last word. For me, I also thank everybody who was like answering and questioning the things we said and having a discussion with us. And I would, I would ask everybody who's interesting to reach out for us and contact us and go on our website, write us an email, and if you like to join the movement, because this movement is more than just us that you talked to today. The movement is bigger, and it needs to grow. So that's why if you want to participate, then I would be very glad if you reach out to us. And thank you.
I'll take the last word. We are all political statements. Every one of us is a walking political statement. The moment you are not purely white, you are one, because everything is set up here and in our own countries against our rights. And we have, for example, I have, because of the education, because of my stubbornness, have the privilege to speak and to be able to enlighten people. So we should all use our privileges whichever way we can, some through music, some through speech, some through art, whichever way we can reach people, to do that, or just joining the party and being part of the members or helping us with our program. And it is very, very important not just to focus on Bundestagswahl, but every other communal election that we have in our system, because each one of them can support and implement a group of people in that environment. And if, for example, in Berlin, we manage to get certain things manifested, it will be easier to manifest them in other Bundesländer as well, and then manifest them nationwide. These are all steps that we have to take. Step by step, we will reach that. So we need all of us to come together to spread word of mouth, like Shiva said, and to continue to realize and research what we are actually empowering and who it affects. As you said, people from SPD and so on are thinking twice, and I'm happy about that. They should think twice, because all these other parties are doing things to discourage equal rights. And that is what we should encourage. So thank you for everybody. I'm so appreciative of this. I do not mind that we spent over 2 hours. I actually enjoyed this session. I would happily do more, even if there's not a Bundestagswahl, any other situations. And encourage you to spread the word, not to take things at face value. Do your research, find out more, and communicate with everybody. And as a Ghanaian, I would say we will make it either way. Choboy, let's do this.